Well, how's everybody doing? I thought I'd do a little video about installing. This is the Everclean by Highland Park. It's I think that was around 1,600 or something like that for the Everclean and the I just got the Everclean and the pump, the circulating pump, and didn't get like the mounting plate and things like that because I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. Now, this came well packed, but I didn't get the paint can that goes in to collect the debris from the centrifugal force forces out of the oil. So I went ahead and installed it anyway. But my problem was I have a Raytech. It's an 18-inch saw. They don't make them anymore, but they're really, really good saws. I mean, this thing is, designed well and built well. And, with some maintenance and repairs once in a while, it'll last your lifetime. But anyway, my problem was this Raytech has a double wall on the top here. Now it goes down, and at the bottom where the oil sits goes back to a single wall. So I didn't buy their kit for installation because I didn't know how I was going to do it. But what I did is I got some tank fittings, through tank fittings. Here from Amazon. I got an 1.5 inches. Let me open this. I got an 1.5 inches tank fitting, which comes with it's 1.5 inches on the outside and has an 1.25 inches threaded through hole, through the tank place inside of the 1.5 inches. So this will bolt. This will bolt through the tank. I guess there's there's a good space there, almost a couple inches where you can tighten down. So that got me through the 1.25 inches or whatever it was, double wall. I couldn't mount it using the Everclean mounting plate because it's not designed to go through a double wall. But anyway, there's the fitting for the main part, for the centrifuge. So this went in here through that thicker part, and I screwed an 1.25 inches nipple through the tank fitting inside of that. So that sealed up the double walls, because as you can see, it's got the washers on it. And then screwed the 1.25 inches nipple into that, and cut a hole in a 1/4 inch plate, which I have some stock 1/4 inch steel. And then I welded that nipple onto the hole in the plate. Then drilled out the steel plate. And here's There's a nipple, just for an example, and you know, a piece of steel plate, nothing fancy. I'm sure you can get away with whatever you got or whatever you can find at the store. So that's where I put the screw holes in this plate to mount into the Everclean body itself. So now I have our return, you know, from the Everclean. Now that Everclean, let me take the top off here. The Everclean, they did get me the paint can eventually, that after I told them I didn't get it because it's supposed to come with the unit. I tried. Here's the lid. This is where the pumps from the tank. Now I used, to go into the tank, I used the same type of through tank fitting, but I got a smaller one. I got the 3/4 size. You know, like I said, down below there, that's a one single wall tank, single in the bottom of the saw. So that 3/4 worked well, and then it has a 1/2 inch threaded inside, so I could bolt that right to the tank. Now I have access, and with the threads on the 1/2 inch threads on the inside, I could adapt to just about anything I needed. So inside of the tank, I adapted to a 1/2 inch. You know, I had some fittings, some brass fittings and stuff. I'm sure you could find what you need, and put a hose on that. And you got to have something on the end so you're not sucking through rocks and stuff. And I had you know, plastic. Let's see what I got here. Let me get all funky here. Hold on. I had some plastic adapters that come. Hold on one second. It came with the other pump and stuff, and this has a screen in the bottom, so it's a little hard to get. Oh, come on. There it comes. Now that's what I put on the end. Just the plastic. There's metal ones you can buy and stuff, but I found this plastic that comes with pumps and stuff like that. I found that fitting works the best. So that's my filter on the end of the hose that goes to this. It goes to this through the whole fitting here, and then with that fitting, I screwed in some. I screwed in a nipple. You see this dealing with the sunlight here. Here's the kind of stuff that comes out of the paint can. So I got a 1/2 inch nipple screwed into that through the tank fitting. Then I put a stop here, a ball valve, another 1/2 inch nipple, 45. You can make up whatever you want. And then that goes into this pump. This pump I bought. I do have circulator. I was a plumber. Still have a lot of stuff. But I figured I'd use what they used, and in the future I could try circulator pumps for a boiler or whatnot. And then coming out of this circulator, I put a valve. They said you'd have to throttle it down, but I haven't had that problem of having to throttle it down. So I adapted it to a plastic hose. I think that's a quarter inch hole there. It was a 1/2 inch hole on the other side of the pump, and quarter inch hole. So I bushed it up and then put a 3/8 stop, and then bushed it back down and put a 3/8 hose on that. Now this pump is pretty nice because it operates off of the same switch as the centrifuge. So you plug that in. I had taped it so it didn't vibrate out. I had some vibration problems, I'll tell you about that. But anyway, so when you turn on the centrifuge, the pump will also come on, which is handy. Now there's also a dial here to set the speed. I'm not sure exactly how fast, how that centrifuge works the best, at what speed, I'm not sure. But anyway, I didn't get the paint can like I was saying before. So I bought some 2-quart paint cans off the internet, and they worked, but I had a lot of vibration. So upon reading up a little more, I found out that these the paint can has to fit in there snugly, has to fit nice and tight. So now let's see if you find me a screwdriver. Everything's so neat here. This might be too big. So the paint cans I was using was the cause of the vibration, because with the paint can that they sell you, which like I said is supplied with the unit, it's a much closer fit tolerance wise into that into the inner chamber of this centrifuge. And hold on, so if I could get this top off, which isn't the easiest thing. I'll set you down for a second. Okay, I think we got it here. All right. Sorry. So here it is. Here's the lid off the inner chamber, and then there's the paint can down in there. And as you can see, it's a pretty close tolerance to the edge of that of the centrifuge. So it doesn't vibrate as much with a tighter fit. It's balanced. So I have to stick with their paint cans, 2-quart paint cans for now. But they do have a tip where you take and you bend in 3 spots. You bend the edges of the can. Put out an empty can here somewhere. There's one. So you bend the edges of the can like that to tighten up the tolerance on the fit into the chamber that goes in there. And that, tell you what, that smoothed the thing right out, and it has no vibration at all, or very little. And so I couldn't bend these other 2-quart cans that I bought enough to make them stable. So I'll figure something out with them. I'll put tape on them or something to build the diameter up. But anyway, the thing works good. I mean, I'm happy. Haven't changed oil. I do have to add, like when I render down the muck that comes out of it, I'll pour any, residue back in there and keep filtering it. So in that respect, having to take this thing out, empty it, power wash it, blah, 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 pain in the ass, excuse my language, pain in the butt. It's, I consider it an improvement and, worth the money. It's, I guess it is. I bought it and I'm using it. So if it doesn't save you, it will save you on your oil, I'm sure. But what it mostly will save you is your time and energy and frustration. And of course, if you're into production, I'm not really a production guy. It would help your production. It's all right. Clean this all. Maybe I'll put that off till tomorrow. But let me turn this lid, or put this lid back on, and I'll turn the machine on. Stand by again. Okay, tighten these screws down. Almost done. Sorry about the delay. Just makes it easier to edit if I don't have to chop the video up. But if I have to do that, I'll do it. Okay. So here we go. So, all right, the lid's back on. It's these screws. If there was a little tit on this red lid or something, it would be easier to get off, or a way to, which I'll come up with sooner or later, to just hold this thing inside stable while you turn the lid. So, all right, we'll put this. This is where that pumps out of that hole into the center of this. And these red screws go back in. I'm not going to put them all the way in. No, they're going right in there. pretty easily. So basically, like I'm saying, that the key to my being able to do this, and I'm sure you could with just about any machine, or these through-hole fittings or through tank fittings, they call them. Amazon, they're cheap enough. All right, so turn it on. And I got the liquid coming up through the hose there. Now I pulled that suction out of the tank, and to get suction back on these sometimes is a little bit of a problem. Sometimes if I turn it on and off, it'll let the air out of that pump down there. But once you pull them out, you got to play with it a little while to get your suction back. It's starting to trickle out of there now. It'll come harder. Plus, it's got to fill that tank up. And I guess you can see it there. That's the liquid coming back out. And when you turn the saw on, it will stir. It will stir up that most of the oil. You know, this oil, mineral oil, is getting very expensive. You know, so like everything else. But I'm satisfied with the way it works now. I mean, with the proper can in there and with a tight fit, I could turn this way up the speed, and I still don't get the vibration. Now, if anybody knows, you know, the speed that's the most efficient for this machine, that they put it in the comments, I'd appreciate that. But you know, it works just about at any speed, and then there's a little lock on the speed control, so you can't turn it. But I don't know if I've left anything out, but you know, in a nutshell, that's pretty much, like I said, you have to, you know, play with the fittings. I can't say get this fitting, that fitting, but if you know how to put a 1/2-inch fitting together and a 3/8 fitting together, and you know, threads, put some tape on some threads, you can do it for sure. But I like the machine. I got to buy more paint cans of the proper size, or do something with the ones I have. But kind of neat. And certainly, if I was doing a lot of sawing, which I do a lot, but I don't have 5 machines running and employees or any of that stuff anymore, I would look into it. Like I said, initial cost is expensive, but you know, when it's a hobby and you got a few bucks, it's worth doing. All right, everybody. I hope somebody gets something out of this, because I thought it was a pretty good idea. You know, really got tired of the power washer and the oil mess outside and blah blah blah. So all I have now are these buckets of, you know, Play-Doh. All right. Peace, everybody. And that's it for me. I'm out.